Hey guys, on this week's episode of Fish Addictions TV, we're out at beautiful Devil's Lake, North Dakota. It's our group's favorite lake to actually go and pound out together.
I know, I call this my home lake. So,
guys, we're fishing walleyes and perch. That's what's on the docket. We're going to start out with walleyes early in the morning, late afternoon into the evening, and we're going to do perch in between because that's what Devil's Lake is all about.
it really is. You get that hour or two in the morning, get that hour in the evening to really hammer on walleyes, but you have all day to find them big perch.
And that's what everybody's after through the ice, is big perch. But when you guys come out here, don't forget about the walleye fishing through the ice. The walleyes are fun, they're abundant. Guys, the weather on this trip is not going to be ideal. We've had a high pressure system come in and it's kind of starting to stabilize. So we're hoping those fish, they haven't really been eating the last few days. So we're really hoping that they're going to end up putting the feed bag on. And that's why we're out here. We're out here in basically a snowstorm right now.
Yeah.
And but that's North Dakota. We don't got trees. We're out here. True ice fishermen love Devil's Lake, North Dakota.
Absolutely.
We definitely do.
Absolutely.
Addiction, the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. An addiction is not desirable. It is something that overtakes your life. What happens when an addiction cannot be stopped? An addiction is stronger than any one drug with only one cure. The cure is not rehab. It is not medication. It is not a counselor. The only cure for us is the water beneath our feet, the rod in our hands, the anticipation of that next big bite, and the camaraderie we all share. This is Fish Addictions TV.
Fish Addictions TV is brought to you by Eskimo Ice Fishing Gear and the rest of our fine sponsors.
Oh, come on, Bessie.
So what we're planning on doing here is starting the day out walleye fishing. You know, when you think of Devil's Lake, everybody thinks of perch in the winter time. And so what we're gonna do here actually is perch fishing is kind of better. It fires up more towards late morning, mid-afternoon. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the walleyes. We're gonna transition to perch and then transition back to walleye fishing. And that, you know, and over the years and fishing this lake quite a bit, that's what makes most sense. If you're gonna come up here, double dip. Go for those walleyes, go for those perch. You're gonna have a much better time. It's got abundance of both and quality of both. So that's what we're gonna do.
We came up and set up here. We got kind of a underwater tree belt that we're fishing for perch actually. So this guy's kind of a bonus fish. I figured I'd be reeling up a perch, and then the first couple head shakes I knew right away it wasn't a perch.
It's not nice out.
One of the main things, the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody fishing Devil's Lake is don't sit in one place too long. These fish are active, they're hungry, and a lot of times you just got to move and find those active schools of fish. So that's what we're doing. It's terrible out today, but this is the type of weather that we fish in. This is real life. If you look out there, it's a whiteout, but we've got the GPSs, we've got the sleds, we've got the things to do it, so we're running and gunning. I make decisions on moving more like based on the lake more than the fish. Personally, I just know on Devil's Lake that there's always going to be active schools of fish. We're not on an active school of fish, so the only way to do that is to get yourself on top of an active school of fish. So that's what we're trying to do. We're not saying this move's going to work. We might have to make 3, 4 more, but who knows? If we sit in one spot, it's not doing us any good.
The all-new Eskimo pistol bit is the ultimate weapon to pair with your 1/2-inch high-torque cordless drill if you want to be mobile and destroy the ice in a hurry. At just under 4 pounds, nothing will slow you down, as this unit was engineered to cut fast, cut smooth, and maximize the battery life of your cordless drill. Best of all, it's lightweight, so it won't wear you out. If you've been considering a cordless drill auger bit, we challenge you to try the pistol and find something you don't like about it.
Catch Cover makes a full line of hard-nosed products for your fish house. Exceptionally durable. Original catch covers keep out snow, dirt, and road salt. Accessories like rod holders, rattle reels, slush buckets, new Moonglow hole sleeves, and much more. All made in Minnesota and backed by a no-question guarantee. Look for Catch Cover at fine retailers or see the entire product line at catchcover.com.
Manitoba, Canada's heart beats.
Spot number 2, morning walleye spot, is dried up, so we're gonna go chase after some jumbo perch off a little sunken tree point here. So hopefully we can find a few timber tigers hiding amongst the trees and bring them to you.
You know, you guys see us fishing outside all the time, and that's because with the style of fishing that we do, that run and gun style fishing, we do utilize our houses quite often, more than you guys probably even see. But in inclement weather like what we're dealing with today, with these high winds and snow, and the Grizzly is just perfect with the insulated cover, the square bars, everything that you guys all know about this house. It's just a big, it's just a beast. And for us to be able to flip it over, fish for a while, change, we're really not losing our pace. We're just utilizing the fact that we can keep ourselves comfortable as we're doing it.
Here we are. My first Devil's Lake perch. He's not a giant, but it is my first. I was just gonna drop the AquaView down to see what kind of bottom I had, and I was digging that out of my bag. I look over and I had some marks, so I jigged them up. But that's about all I can tell you right now is we're in 16.5 feet of water, and I'm guessing there's a little bit of mud down there.
Another nice one. There we go.
Screaming off the bottom.
The perch are as big as the walleyes around here.
This guy's not even close to 2 pounds, but it's a good solid 9.5, 10-inch fish. So if this is just the start, I can't wait until the big boys come in.
Oh, I just can't seem to get away from the pesky walleye. I have yet to catch a perch. Keep catching smaller walleyes, but I can't complain. Keeps you busy.
I just want a perch as big as this walleye.
Just grab the camera inside to thaw out a little bit because it is nasty out there. And the name of the game is when the perch start biting, you got to keep that school active, keep it going. I got another one down there. I'm jigging right in place and they're grabbing it. I honestly think that it's super important that when you're fishing perch and you get onto a school, it's important to get your buddies on top of you, because when you're on with a fish and you're up on top of the ice, these perch will lose interest really quick and kind of go about what they were doing. They'll keep moving around. Now we've got fish down here. We've brought a couple up now, trying to keep this school interested, and then they'll move on if you don't keep them interested. So it's super important in my eyes to keep those perch engaged with what you're doing, because if you don't, they'll just move on. There we go. Now we're not fishing these fish like super deep, just there we go. On the deucer there. There you go. That is a great fish no matter where you're at, but one of the most important things to do is get back down right away on top of that school. You got one, Jim? Jim's out there, got one. The whole school's just sitting right on top of us. Here he comes. There we go. See, it's so important to get on top of that school. That's why it's important to get down there as fast as possible. These are great fish. Great fish. I mean, 12-inch fish. Really can't complain, but again, get back down. You kind of get flustered when you get into a flurry like this, but like I said, most important thing is to stay on top of them. It's not always going to be fast and furious like that, but we just caught 3 in 35 seconds.
Tight to the bottom.
So today the fishing's been a little bit more challenging. So what we've got set up here is pretty much every presentation. We've got a really active bait here in the middle, and usually you wouldn't fish where the Panoptix is, but we're kind of just using that as the attractor. I got a really aggressive bait on there trying to call these fish in. We've got a dead stick with a minnow. He's jigging with a minnow head. And then I've got a tungsten on with a couple of waxies. So we're really covering all of our bases just because the fishing has been pretty tough today.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the more things you can put down in front of these fish, if they don't like me, on the live scope you can see they swim over to Anthony and they might take a look at the tungsten or even take a peck at the dead stick.
Using the Panoptix, we can really tell the attitude of those fish if they're reacting to one bait or the other. And once we kind of key in on that, that's what helps us identify, you know, what bait they're going after and be a little bit more selective on what we're putting down for presentations.
Before the spot, before the hole, before the bait. It starts with a passion, and that passion starts at Runnings. The best gear and supplies from the most trusted brands. When you get the strike, will you be ready? Runnings, your home, farm, and outdoor store.
Resort of Bemidji, Minnesota.
There we go. Perching, baby. Perching in Devil's Lake. You know, one thing I think you guys can't shy away from is using bigger baits. You know, we talk about that all the time. Go aggressive and work your way down. I'm actually using what I was just using for walleyes, a big rattle spoon. That's a pretty good size. Most guys would shy away from that fishing perch, but these perch, especially these bigger ones, they're not scared of that. They're used to eating that big forage base that's in these lakes. So don't shy away from using the bigger stuff, and then downsize from there. A lot of guys ask every time we do an episode out here at Devil's Lake, like, what are you looking for perch? Well, there's probably three main things I think we look for out here, and one's going to be those old trees. There's lots of sunken trees out here, and those perch really like to swim amongst those trees. But I think what gets forgotten a lot by people is looking for those old shorelines, where a lot of places where maybe there's a lot of mud and bugs coming out, and just places that those perch are just feeding on the bottom. And I think there's three different things you can expect from a perch. If you're catching them in 20 feet or less, a lot of times they're going to be pretty committal. You're not going to have a lot of hard times actually catching them. We're actually fishing less than 20 feet right now, which is ideal perch situation. But there's a lot of times those perch slide out. If you're catching them in, I would say 30 feet, it's going to take a little bit more time, a little bit more effort to catch them. And they even slide out to 40, 50 feet of water. And when they're there, you can catch them, but it's going to take a lot of time. I think our buddy Dustin Larson says it best. If it's under 20 feet, they're suicidal.
Yep.
If it's under 30 or best, they're catchable. Yep. And if they're 50, we're not going to say what he calls them, but they're tougher to catch.
Thought this was a perch. Got a little tungsten jig on here with a couple of waxies, but like we've saw a lot of times today, some of these walleyes are mixed in with the perch. Another good eater-sized Devil's Lake walleye. One of the things that I like to do, and you can use this across all kinds of different bodies of water, different lakes, basins in structure. We're in the trees here now. Is I start off with a louder bait, something like a buckshot, rattling flyer, anything with rattles. Perch seem to really congregate to loud noises or flash. They might not necessarily bite, this big of a profile of a lure, but you get them interested and you get them in your area, and then you can follow it up with a smaller, more finesse type jig that they'll most likely bite.
Look at that beast. All right, guys, we have had an absolute awesome day on the water, and we just really want to share with you guys some tips on what helps make you successful, especially if you were to come this way. There we go. First off, I think the most important thing when perch fishing is your rod selection. Now, a lot of guys debate on length and that kind of stuff. I honestly think that length, in my personal preference, or my personal opinion, is all about preference. I think what's most important when perch fishing, because you get those days where they're gonna come up and absolutely crush it, which at that point, it doesn't matter if you're using a medium light, light, ultra light, it's gonna do the job. But a lot of days, these perch are gonna come up and just barely grab it. You're just gonna see just a slight fluctuation in how your rod tip is sitting. So I think it's super important to go with a light, ultra light when fishing these perch. Length, again, that's a personal opinion, personal preference, but use a spring bobber, a noodle rod, or in our case, we're using the tickle stick here, and I've got a 38-inch light tickle stick that I chose to use today. But use a rod that has that light tip. Like I said, spring bobber, a noodle rod, or something like what I'm using today with this tickle stick. It's gonna just make that, we're always talking about making your adventures, your fishing trips, more productive. And I think this is one of those tools that'll make your fishing trip more productive.
Runnings, your home, farm, and outdoor store with over 40 locations.
Fishing. Make your own luck.
Good job, buddy.
All right. Whew. Devil's Lake perch. A good fish anywhere across the ice belt. It's a decent fish.
Oh yes, this is a true Devil's Lake jumbo, guys. I've been kind of messing around with some of the smaller ones here the last day or two and catch some all right 10s and 11s. I'm not going to complain about that, but yeah, this one's a true, I'm going to say this is a true 12. It's nice and fat. You know, this is why we're in the trees, guys. These are the ones that we're after. They're in here chasing around these little bait fish, chasing around some of the bugs and stuff that are coming up. I mean, you got these trees have been decaying in here for years, so it's a pretty soft bottom. So you end up with a lot of bugs down there, and that's, you know, I'm sitting here fishing with give her a dip here. You know, a lot of these guys are using spoons and minnow heads, and I'm just using a small tungsten, a 5mm tungsten, and some gnarled up waxies, and And these fish are, I mean, they're after them. That was a super aggressive mark. At first I thought it was actually a walleye, so.
It just doesn't get old. Hey guys, that's a wrap on Devil's Lake, North Dakota. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We really wanted to give you guys the feeling of what it would be like for you to come out here and attack this lake for 2 days. We dealt with the weather. We dealt with pretty much everything you would deal with as an ice fisherman out here on Devil's Lake, between the wind and the sun and the snow and cold. We had it all. But we put a lot of fish topside, so it was a lot of fun. So we hope you guys really enjoyed it. Want to give a special thanks to Aaron McCoy and McCoy Outdoors. He pointed us in the right direction and really gave us an awesome place to stay. The accommodations are bar none. Now, Aaron and his guys have been on this lake 20 plus years and really know it inside out. So if you're coming this way and you're looking for somebody to take you fishing, make sure to look them up. We'll see you guys next week. Who knows where we'll be, but it's going to be an adventure.
Well, I'd like to thank my whole man over here for the assist on the deucer and the fish grab. I remained comfortable on my snowmobile, bringing another walleye home for me to eat.
Are you gonna eat that one?
Yeah, we're gonna fillet him. He looks nummy.
You need to curry.
Snacks.
Where's beef jerky?
I got the snacks.
Nobody's brave enough to do it.
Oh, I'm not keeping that one. That happens. I was gonna eat him, you know, because perch is one of my favorite meats, but I did that with a catfish too.